A restaurant receives a license. A parcel changes its permitted use. A police patrol decides where to intervene. None of these scenes seems capable of explaining how a city works. Yet Mariana Valverde asks us to look precisely there. What if urban power becomes clearer through these small decisions than through a grand theory? Her analysis brings law and everyday governance to the foreground. Licensing, policing, zoning, regulations and jurisdictions produce spatial order through concrete actions. The supplied material shows that governing the city involves distributing activities, competencies, and possibilities across territory. The city then appears as an everyday legal network. Many of its rules seem technical and minor. Together, however, they organize who may do what, where they may do it, and under whose authority. The mechanism begins when a rule connects with a space, an activity, and a competent authority. A license permits or conditions a particular practice. Zoning assigns possible uses to different parts of the city. A regulation establishes permitted and prohibited conduct. Police exercise particular capacities in specific places. Jurisdiction defines which authority can decide an issue and within which domain. Valverde directs attention toward these operations because power needs techniques to become effective. Knowing a major law or a general ideology is not enough. We must observe how a rule reaches a street, a business, or a parcel. This can be read as the legal production of space. Urban order emerges through many decisions that fit together, overlap, or sometimes enter into tension. Imagine a first case. Two businesses occupy the same street but conduct different activities because their licenses establish different conditions. From a distance, we simply see a commercial street. Up close, documents, permits, operating conditions, and authorities begin to organize its possibilities. The example is hypothetical, but it uses the mechanisms identified by Valverde. A license looks like a minor administrative tool. Yet it determines which activity may operate and under what conditions. Our interpretation is that such decisions also help produce spatial differences. A street acquires a particular order because many individual authorizations shape it simultaneously. Urban power does not always need a spectacular intervention. It can operate from an administrative desk. The irony is simple: a boring document may have greater spatial effects than many grand speeches about cities. A second case begins with a parcel and one basic question: what can happen here? Zoning provides a legal answer that organizes possible land uses. It can look like a technical classification on a map. Valverde invites us to treat it as a concrete practice of urban governance. The assigned category matters because it connects space, expert knowledge, and legal authority. A drawn boundary can separate permitted activities from restricted ones. The supplied material does not support claims about which uses dominate any particular city. We do not need such claims. The conceptual mechanism is enough. Zoning turns legal differences into spatial differences. This can be read as an everyday way of producing order. The map stops being a passive representation. It becomes a tool through which some urban possibilities open while others close. The third case brings policing and jurisdiction into view. Imagine the same conduct occurring in two spaces governed by different rules or authorities. The institutional response may depend on who has authority and which regulation applies. Here the importance of scale becomes visible. For Valverde, urban power operates through scales, forms of knowledge, and seemingly minor legal techniques. Scale indicates the level or domain from which a problem is governed. Jurisdiction organizes who may act upon it. Technical knowledge helps classify the problem and make it governable. These pieces work together. This explains how urban order can change without one central decision. Different authorities intervene in fragments of space and in problems defined in different ways. The city is governed through this combination of partial competencies. The influence of Michel Foucault helps explain this approach. Power appears less as something stored inside an institution and more as something exercised through practices. Valverde brings this sensitivity toward the concrete socio-legal configurations of the city. A socio-legal configuration combines rules, authorities, knowledge, and social relations within a specific situation. According to the supplied material, her analysis avoids beginning with grand urban theories. She follows the techniques that make everyday situations governable. This methodological choice creates an important shift. Instead of asking only who possesses power, we ask how power manages to operate. Which classification does it use? At what scale does it act? Which authority decides? What knowledge supports that decision? Legal detail then stops looking like bureaucratic noise and becomes evidence about urban government. There is a strong counterargument. Studying licenses, regulations, or jurisdictions may risk losing sight of major economic and political structures. Cities are also shaped by inequality, investment, property, and conflicts operating at larger scales. Too much attention to administrative techniques could fragment the explanation. This objection deserves serious treatment. The approach described by Valverde does not need to deny the existence of larger processes. Its wager is that power must take concrete forms before it can govern effectively. Our interpretation is that microscopic analysis can complement structural questions without replacing them. Grand theory identifies broad forces. Socio-legal inquiry examines how those forces find operational forms. The challenge is to connect both scales without assuming that one automatically explains the other. Return to the restaurant, the parcel, and the police patrol from the opening. They now seem less trivial. Each scene contains a specific combination of rule, space, knowledge, and authority. Our initial question asked whether small decisions could reveal urban power. Valverde allows us to answer that these decisions show how governance becomes concrete. My editorial reading is that this is the provocative strength of her approach. We search for power in major plans, institutions, and speeches, while it may operate before us through a permit. A license opens one possibility. Zoning limits another. Jurisdiction determines who has the capacity to intervene. Minor rules end up drawing a political geography. Understanding the city, therefore, requires examining what often looks too ordinary to deserve attention.